Guys, we are finally going to do an actual tier list. We are finally going to put together what we think the predictions will be when we look into phase 2. And this is going to be DPS, but I guess we'll cover heals and tanks potentially as well, but we're really focused on DPS right now. And we're not really looking at like previous DPS, we're looking at how the classes will do in phase 2. This is for PvE specifically, and we'll try to give reasonings behind everything. As always, a tier list before the phase comes out is a fucking meme. Like, this could all be super wrong, but this is all very educated stuff. We have a lot of simulations. A lot of them aren't perfect. New changes are coming every day. We also have a lot of predictions. We also have a lot of experience with the game. We can also see what's going on. But again, things could get outdated tomorrow when they decide to nerf warriors to the ground because they're too good or something like that. So just like Hunters did, this is the preliminary right before the phase comes out. This is how your class should perform. Obviously,
Hi.
Join with me is Crix, my boy, who's going to be able to cover all of the caster shit and more. Crix, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, friend. I'm enjoying the last day before phase 2. Been playing Fortnite with my kids all day because they love Fortnite. So that's my father-child playtime, is they just want to play Fortnite and leave it up to them. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm down. Probably take the wife out to dinner.
That's fucking sick.
Enjoy the peacefulness of before phase 2 hype, because it's going to be really busy. This next week's going to be chaotic, but it's going to be fun.
That dog behind you is fucking popping off.
Yeah, I need to go close the store real quick in a second. Yeah.
Okay.
I have pit bulls and they bark at anything that walks by this house. It's really annoying.
That dude's angry. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you go close that, and then okay, guys, this should be a lot of fun. We've seen a lot of the new runes. We've also, of course, seen a lot of the simulations. We know how classes are expected to perform, and we've also today, as you know, we watched pretty much every tier list that's out right now and judge them. So your turn to judge us. Have fun. Okay. I'm going to let you kick it off with what you want. Oh, he walked away. All right. Another thing I do want to note before we even get into it, we're not going to rate everything S tier. There's like 17,000 tier lists that come out every phase, and it's like, this is all S tier. Like, no, this is like, this has to be a realistic stratification of power. So like,
Okay,
all right, brother.
What happened?
I'm gonna let you. I'm just saying we're not rating everything S tier because everything is like there's too many tier lists that do that.
2 S tiers right now.
And
also, what defines S tier? I think 800 plus is S tier, in my opinion, if we're going off Sims. But also, it's Sims. And I know if you look in the past with Sims, they weren't that far off, but we still don't know. Just because there's been so many changes with the Sims, like they go in alpha and a class will be, at this DPS, and then people tweak with it and it gets fixed, and all of a sudden they're doing way more or doing way less. So like, you never know what it's going to be. But I would say 800 is S tier.
I agree. Holistically, right? Like, be wary of Sims, be cautious of them.
Use it as a guideline, kind of.
I think, yep.
It's an idea.
Okay, so I'm not actually disagreeing with you that I think there's 2 things in the S tier, but I guess let's just go down the list. Frost Mage. Do you see it having any sort of viability in PvE?
I don't know. When I ran Sims on Frost Mage, it's extremely bad. But I think you're just, if mages are going to be fire, Hot Streak, or they'll miss a Barrage Arcane, right?
There's just no point. Like, why?
I can look to see if there's a Frost Sim, but it's...
Why play Frost? That's the easiest thing. Just skipping it. Actually, this is a good one. Ret, what a fun one to start with. Retribution Paladins.
I have not looked into Ret. There's 3 classes: Ret, Hunter, War, and Rogue. I've not even like.
Perfect. I have. Okay, so Retribution Paladins actually are simming at a very mediocre state. Paladins bring a lot of utility to the raid. Their DPS is mediocre. Some Ret can do a lot, or some Paladins can do a lot more damage if they're actually playing Preg, which is basically sitting there as a fucking one-handed spell power Paladins, and like you're shocking and shit. In short fights, Paladins have really strong bursts. They would end up ooming and then not be the most consistent. I'm fairly confident that Ret Paladin is going to be an easy B tier this phase. It's just not in a great spot. You didn't gain any new abilities other than so Rets in Classic traditionally are just sitting there whacking things forever and just like waiting for a proc to happen, right? Like seal twist, but they just kind of don't get to do much. And with them not adding a ton of new runes for them to add to their rotation, Rets need more. What are you getting as a Ret? Exactly. I guess B tier might even be a little bit nice, but I will readjust.
Also, I think they also don't, their sim is not 100% either. Like they're one of the ones where it's like we don't have it. Like their sim's not as good condition as like the warlocks or the warriors and the druids and stuff.
Interestingly,
so
and
at the same time, I can't imagine them skyrocketing. But so you are right. But just keep in mind that I don't think their sim is, you know what I mean? Because they have a few different sims that all need to be touched up.
yeah, a lot of, but I'm not. Yeah, we have.
But that could be code. Maybe it does work, and they're just like, nope, our sim's not.
Interestingly enough, like Retribution Paladins were looking like really good before SOD came out. They were like looking super strong, and then they got nerfed super hard. So yeah, Ret next phase. I'm putting you in B for now. Oh, so fun. Okay, Shadow Priest.
I agree.
How do you feel?
Kind of down bad. They even know they're kind of down bad right now. I think 540-ish is the highest. 60 seconds that I can see. So
the crazy thing is, I've had this conversation before, and I think Jordy actually said it. It's like you can't tune Shadow Priest to be better, or else they literally delete everything in PvP. The Shadow Priest, gods of PvP, super mediocre in PvE. You probably won't see them like you'll see them as much as you see them right now in PvE. Yes, they get better, but everyone else gets better, like more better. So Shadow Priest, really, literally, you're going to be a PvP god and then just like run like disc or something and you're like you're the best. Like every single spec of Priest in PvP is unbelievably phenomenal. But
I think that'd be broken.
Yeah, in PvP. Yeah.
Like arguably like Rogue, I think Rogue and like Priest top 2 type shit.
Yeah, like literally unbelievable. So yes. And yeah, Adris makes a good point. Wild Strikes now is fixed to include abilities. Crusader Strike, Divine Storm, Judgment also proc Wild Strikes, which is Wind Fury. Also for Druids attacks now proc Wild Strikes, which is gonna be big. Is it enough? Assassination Rogues. Oh, this is a good one. Assassination Rogues. You haven't looked into this at all.
No, Rogue, no. That's Simonizes your guys' lane.
So, Rogues.
I think it was like, what, 650 or something?
Yeah, so Rogues had this interesting change, and this is why I think I might even need to add a new tier. So, Rogues had this interesting change where you can look at, there's a couple specs you can run essentially where you could be Cold Blood versus you could be not Cold Blood, or you could also be like using the fist weapons. But the Mutilate change where Mutilate went down to 40 energy made Rogues way better in most situations. Like Mutilate is super good now. The issue is nature, poison damage, and bleeds. We did hear officially that bosses will not be immune to nature damage, poison, and bleeds, but there will be some sort of a resistance. Not as bad as casters had initially, but you can expect there to be something. Without that, and having bleeds working, Assassination Rogue, which is the highest simming and the highest DPS of rogues right now in PvE, about 16% higher than if you're using the epic fist weapon. 650 is they're simming lower than I expect them to play. But 650 is not that great when you look at some of the other classes right now.
Well, like what was right? 600 as well? 600, 650?
Yeah. So I wanted
B tier just a good 600 range.
I wanted to put them in A, but like if we're looking at it and we have a real stratification, there's two classes that stand above, and Assassination would be like the top of S, and Combat would be like kind of following them, right? Or sorry, B. So yes, hopefully
sub just never getting played still.
Yeah, sub is like an ungodly PvP spec. Ungodly. Like sub rogues have their entire toolkit is crazy. But I'm wary. I think the simulations show rogues as doing worse than they should be, which is actually what happened with this phase, this first phase. I was like, rogues should be better, but we're seeing numbers at them lower. So I think rogues always end up doing really well, but the mechanical thing also has an effect. I think Mutilate is really strong, but it's not strong enough. We'll see. We'll see. This is, if you go off of simulation numbers right now, they're in the B tier, and this isn't like a B. It's just like, because there is 2 tiers above this.
I think if 800 is the benchmark for S,
700s have to be A, 600 has to be B.
C, everything else lower. I like that. I also don't know shit about that class, so.
And 600 plus.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm literally checking Sims while we're doing this.
Yeah, I ran all of the different numbers yesterday for Rogue. Balanced Druid.
Last I checked, the low points were 480, the high was 540.
Is that higher than?
Did not get nerfed, by the way. It did change. They thought it did, but it didn't change, I guess. Well, I mean, the damage didn't get nerfed. Druid Big Brains are saying the damage is the same in the Druid Discord. They just don't know if Star Surge. It depends on if Star Surge works with Eclipse. That's because nobody knows if it does not. So it's like a higher point where like 540, 550 if it Star Surge is working with Eclipse. If it's not, then it's a little bit lower, 480.
You know, it's so interesting that Shadow and Balance are 2 of the most cracked out PvP specs, but again, not great in PvE.
But that's kind of normal though, right? There's always those specs in the game, Sub Rogue, Cross Mage. There's always those specs in the game that are really good at PvP, like excellent at PvP, Soul Link Warlock, but they're not good at PvP. They're not that good at PvP.
Yeah, you'll do like no damage, but you're literally unkillable. Soul Link Warlock, exactly.
It just sucks because like, if you're a Boomy, there's no other. I mean, if you want to play the caster Druid, there's only one, right? Whereas just a Warlock or a Rogue or a Mage has all these other specs that they can play. You know, and then they're just, you know, if you want to play a Shadow Priest or if you want to play a Boomy, you're just stuck with that one version of the caster.
Yeah, so Boomy's getting Eclipse is like pretty cool. Wrath still doesn't feel that strong, but like it's pretty cool. Both of them get more damage, but not nearly enough to be competitive in a PvE standpoint. But they are like gods in PvP. So like you have to pick and choose sometimes. Like just re-roll for PvE or something, right? Like you have a class that can do anything. So like
I think, or you just accept that you're orcs, and I'm not saying boomies are bad. If you're not, here's the thing is I don't think in the Sims, like if you're not S tier, I don't think you're like crying about it. I think you're playing a class, you're having fun. Every class is viable. There's just gonna be a couple more classes that are fucking crazy, right? Or if you're doing speedrun shit like we are, then that's kind of where you go to more than meta classes. But if you like playing Moonkin or Priest and just play it and be fine with it, you're still gonna blast, right? Especially because 80% of the people, probably more than that, who play the game aren't playing correctly. Warriors don't play correctly. I mean, Warlock's kind of hard to fuck up because it's so pretty easy.
That's
but, you know,
the biggest stratification in DPS numbers will be warriors. It will. Your god warriors are going to be gods, and every warrior you play with on average is going to be like, but Warlock is not a hard rotation. Like warriors, for some reason, on average, I feel like has like the best players in the game always gravitate towards warrior, and so do everybody else.
Well, the best players in the games gravitate towards the best classes, right?
Yeah, so, which is always warrior and classic.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's gonna be if for some reason warriors were doing dirtball damage right now, and it was like Boomy and S Priest S tier, and nobody else is near them, you'd see a big flavor of the month change. You know?
Yeah, but that's like forcibly. Like it's like if you look at Wrath of the Lich King speedruns right now, like we literally like everyone had to go feral DPS. It was like just like literally if you're trying to be the number 1 in the world, you had to do it. But that's a good. Okay, so Ele Shamans. You've seen the shaman simulations. I have ideas. Break it down for me.
I haven't ran Ele Sims. I just kind of went off what they were going. They're in like the 620s.
620s.
I don't know. I haven't ran any Ele Sims. The shaman Sims, but I just go look through the Discord and talk to people. You know, there's people in there who are big brains, like they have their role or whatever, and I just kind of look to see what they're talking about. And it was about in the 600s.
The thing about shaman will have crazy burst if they have really good RNG with things like overload. They would have insane DPS. So like there's gonna be like this huge stratification of the DPS, kind of like what I was saying with warriors, but like you could have crazy RNG where you could just do stupid high damage or mediocre damage. And we have to consider there is going to be some form of nature resistance, not that punishing. I think on paper, it seems like it would be super strong. In actuality, it usually turns out to be all right.
It's like 450 to 500. This is such a wide range that they say, but it's like 450 to lowest, 550 to highest for optimal sims. So
also, it'll every what, I think it's 1 minute or 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, you have a one-shot ability in PvP. So like it's another instance where like in PvP you can just one-shot PV people, and in PvE you have chances of being viable. On average, you're not going to be super great, right?
Mm-hmm.
The enhanced shamans, as people we were talking about earlier, have updated their simulations as of today. I thought
I'm looking at a sim that they got a 785, and I was like, "Yo, what made that so high?" When I was talking to the main guy,
you have a screenshot of that?
Like, yeah. Okay. I gotta find it again.
785. The Storm Strike buff that like we didn't expect. That's
a big buff.
That was a huge. So if anyone doesn't know, Storm Strike went from a 12-second CD to a 6-second CD.
And then Wind Fury ICD went from 3 seconds to 1.5.
And they fixed Wind Fury ICD.
No, Storm Strike was 20 seconds.
20 seconds
to 6 seconds.
To 6 seconds.
Yeah. So it's actually a big buff. Because I asked him this morning, I was like, "Yo, is the Sims?" He said he wrote me and it's like the Sims are good enough state to work in. Any bugs we shoot minorly impactful, and it's cool. How's it looking? Because it was like 500 last I checked, and he was like, two hand versus dual wield is 750 to 800. Full bisc consumes fully buffed, yada yada. And I was like, "Holy shit! How did it go so much higher?" And he said they fixed all the bugs, the APL fix, and also the Wind Fury ICD and the Storm Strike cooldown. But he said he was like, "I'd honestly say realistic DPS is going to be in the 600s." People in there's and this is like the biggest of the enhanced shaman brains in the Discord, like does all the work theory crafting for them. So the people who are linking 700 785s are just like random white names in there, whereas like this guy's like big theory crafter, and he's saying probably in the 600s.
It's like the Warriors linking them at like a 1400 DPS or some shit.
Yeah, but they're just trolling.
Yeah,
I did a sim yesterday where I had everything and it was like 1900 on a Warlock. I was trolling hella hard, PI, all that stuff. But like there's people in there who do it realistically. They're like, okay, this is the realistic sim. So off that's like, I mean, 700 to me is A tier. But like if this guy's saying 6, I have no idea. Enhanced depends on the player. Yeah, he's the Guybrush of enhanced. He really is a man tipper. So it's like I don't know what to do with that one. You know.
The new changes, oh man, if we did this tier list 3 days ago, Enhance would be fucking hanging out down here.
Mm-hmm. But that was also when it was alpha too, right?
Honestly, want to put them, they could go bottom of A tier or the top of B tier.
I think bottom of A until we see more. Just know that it could be the top of B, which at that point, well, also it depends on who we're putting A, because we already know who I'm putting in A right now. So it's like, and they're about the same, right? So I would probably say A to start until we see what we move into A, and then we can kind of reassess it. You know?
Agreed. Totems are huge, by the way. So, and we do. It's a very low consideration, your utility that's brought into this tier list, because when players actually. Let me just break this down really fast for you guys. When players look at like who does the most damage, they don't fucking look at utility at all. They don't care. It's like, oh, can I get 2 more DPS out of this item or 9 more stamina for 90 HP? No, classic World of Warcraft players don't give a shit. Why? Because we're fucking min-maxers, excuse my language, and they just want to blast, and it's like someone else can do that for me. Oh, Curse of Elements, you do that for me, you know? So the Shaman buffs with the phase 2 drop yesterday, awesome. Nobody expected Storm Strike to go to 6 seconds from 20 seconds. That's crazy. Wind Fury ICD being fixed, that's awesome. There's a ton of things. Huge jumps in damage from Shaman, either bottom of A or top of B. We will get into it in a second. Boom. Okay, there we go. That is it. All right. How then? Give me your ratings for mages. You're a mage guy. I'm not the mage guy.
Mage, I just sent you what's posted in the mage Discord pinned right now. I think they're going to be higher than that. Call it mage cope. I don't know. I think they're going to be a little bit higher than the 600 because they're getting sims in the 7s. I don't know what they're doing to to get it when it got lower. I'm trying to like scan it right now and find out. But that's where they are right now. I would say they're A tier. I think they're going to be A tier. I think that Sim's off. I don't know. But yeah, that's what they are. Those are Sims. That's where the Sims I'm getting as well. Fire and Arcane. Does that have Fire and Arcane on it both? Or just one?
Yeah, this has all specs.
Yeah, same thing. Here's another. Oh, here's the. Let me see. Yeah, this is. I'm sending this to you. See if this says the same thing. This is today's pin message.
Today's pin message.
Yep. That's the same. It's the exact same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a 60-second fight, fires are simulating at 654 DPS. That is essentially tied with Rogue, and I think Rogue will end up beating that.
Also, it's on, fire's big on crit because of hot streak too. So I mean, it could be worse or better than that. They can get no crits and then be burnt. They can get hella crits and be good. So
Mage is an interesting one, as they are essential to a raid, a good raid, because they have unmatched AoE, like ungodly. And this is the only one that I'm like, it's hard to give a good justification, because if you look at it in single target, DPS is not nearly showing the potential of the class. Other classes, you're like, oh yes, they bring utility, but like this is actual literal damage that mages bring to like a raid is like crazy, and their AoE damage even went higher. So like it's hard to say. Fuck, man. Okay, I'm gonna let you tell me, because fuck me.
I mean, if A is stuck at 700 and no one's getting 700, then I would just put Enhanced and Mage A. What was Ass? Like, what was the Rogue one you said?
Rogue is 656, 60-second fight. If you are waiting for your weapon swings to use your abilities, which most rogues aren't doing, but that's only like 7 DPS right now, and those rogues should do it. Fucking learn how to play the class.
So put Mage above there because it's brain dead. Can't really fuck up playing Mage either, right? I mean,
Rogues, it's not hard. Dude, I have a feeling that Rogue is gonna beat Mage. But
yeah, I don't know on this
Mage
one.
has the AoE. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mage can heal. Side note, I think Mage healers are the best healers. I think they're so fucking good. They're not literally the best healers, but they do. You see that sim DPS that's on there for how much DPS the healers are doing while healing? It's crazy. They're 500 DPS on a 60-second fight healing. Their Mage healers are cracked. I know we're not talking about healers, but I think a little bonus goes to the mages on that, because at any second something can happen and they could just put on regen and keep people alive. I love that. It's my favorite part about the mage.
Yeah, I think
they're doing mage healers do C tier damage if looking at these, while easily keeping everybody up.
Yeah, but mage, they're the healers, so like I
love it.
Just there you go there. So I actually don't know if the simulations have plus 20% nature damage from Storm Strike debuff. I don't know if Simon has that updated yet.
Yeah, there's player buffs, Dream State, Storm Strike for under player buffs. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like 40 DPS. All right. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay.
I would say Arcane's gonna be higher than Ele and Shadow, right? Like high top of C.
In DPS?
Yeah.
But Arcane's kind of the healing spec, right?
Those sims. No, Arcane has missile barrage and stuff. There's an Arcane DPS spec.
Yeah, but why?
I don't know. Some people just like to play Arcane, I guess. I have no idea. Fire's always just more fun to me.
Why play a spec that does less damage? I feel like we run into this question every time. For fun?
No idea. Yeah, no idea. Some people are just, you'd be surprised. Some people are just devout Arcane fans. Because I think Fire's more fun, but that's just, Fire needs Ignite. Fire's RNG based. The speculation before Sims was Fire didn't have enough crit to really make sense of hoping for hot streaks, but the sim proved otherwise. So it's one of those things where you can get shit crit and not get any hot streaks, or you can get giga crit and get a bunch of hot streaks. Where Arcane, you don't need RNG; it's just straight up you're going.
Yeah, but I think if you're playing Arcane, 98% of the time when you're playing Arcane, you're gonna be in PvE. You're gonna be as the off healer. I think everyone needs to be realistic with that, right? 98% of the time when you're playing Arcane, you're playing as the off healer. In that essence, you're fucking A tier, right? Like, this is raw DPS, and we can realign things for utility later.
Arcane, even like right now, a majority of the Arcanes aren't healing. There's actually the regular Arcane. Like if you are healing, yes, you have to be Arcane, but there's a good amount of people who play just regular Arcane DPS. Is the only reason I mention it. Not as much as there's fire, right? There's like right now, I know it's this phase, but there's 600k fire, 300k for Arcane, so it's half the time of it. But there are people who just play Arcane. I don't know where it would put that on there though, but yeah.
What does Arcane get in phase 2? I think that's a good
missile barrage, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
And they run enlightenment now too, which is crazy.
Dude, I don't even know what the spec they do run. So I'll cede this to you. You can say where you want Arcane.
I would just put it in B at the end of B. Very end of B after Ret.
All right.
I would say it's the same thing how we do with Fire, where Fire's top or bottom of A. I would say it's the same thing Arcane into B, top of C.
You get Missile Barrage and 50% crit damage. All right, cool. All right. Affliction Warlocks.
Affliction's for down bad right now. It's let me see if I can check my sim on it right now. See if it went up at all. Nah, it's 500. App's pretty down bad right now. And that's including the sim is including if there was no immunes and stuff. So it's not doing that good. A little 5.9er, 509er. I would C tier, somewhere in the C.
Damn.
Whether that's top or bottom. In C, I don't care. It doesn't matter what order it's in. I would just say C. It's still playable. Some people will play it, but you're out of your mind if you don't play Fire Destro.
Yeah, Warlocks are out of the game anyways. Warlocks are bad. Everyone knows melee get a 42% melee haste buff. Sorry, and then anyone that believed Warlock, that was crazy.
Demo Warlock is 600 DPS if you're going Demo.
Is there?
Yeah, Demo's fine. Demo, you get buffed hella because you have Soul Link, which buffs you. You get 10% from your Succubus out. Your Succubus does 20. Pets do pretty good damage these stages too.
Okay, all right.
So it's at 6. That's just straight Demo. Soul Link Demo, and then you can also dim sack. Like you sacrifice your thing and you can be a support role, but there's no shadows in there to support really. But yeah, Demo didn't do that bad. And Fire Destro, S tier, 1,000,000% S tier. We already know. Just throw it up there.
All right, wait.
Nothing to talk about there.
I'm gonna play the Dolly clip one more time. It finally happened, guys. After all this time,
keep shooting your shot, boys. We'll get it one day.
After like 6 years, Warlocks have finally done it.
See, dude, just wait until the Warlocks get their Bloodbind.
We did it, boys.
Wait until they get to AQ and they get their 2.5. I mean, just wait until they get to next, man. What's in the next? So you'll see it in TBC. Warlocks really pop. Well, and in phase 1, not yet, but in tier 5. In Black Temple, once you start getting haste gear, they're really gonna pop, guys.
DM hunters, but
in Sunwell, they're so fucking good. In Wrath, they're gonna be so great, man. You'll just see. They're finally gonna top the leaders there. Yeah.
The Warlocks, after all this time, have always been saying they're gonna do damage.
Even a bum eats steak every now and then, boys.
Even a bum eats steak every now and then.
If you keep swinging, you won't always miss.
This
One
is
day we'll
your
get
time, Warlocks. It's still finally your time.
It's still unbelievable to me. So even as as a Warlock coper I am, I want to see it. I knew they would be good. I've been saying it since SOD got released, and I saw the level brackets. I was like, oh shit! If Chaos Bolt is as good as we hope it is, which it ended up good, and same with Incinerate, it's like, we can actually be doing some damage once we get our Destro tree. And now we have our Destro tree.
Let me go back to grab the Sims. One sec.
So if we're going based strictly off Sims and nothing else, whereas
I mean, they're just
Sims right now, 858, 848 on Sims.
The crazy thing about Warlock. Okay, first of all, in PvP, a Warlock is like an unkillable god, right? You won't do crazy damage, and then you can play a Destro Warlock and just be a glass cannon and one-shot people because you're creating a Chaos Bolt for like 2,400. 90% of your damage, more 99% of your damage is coming from your runes, because it's just Chaos Bolt and Incinerate. Yeah, you've got like Immolate, but and like your runes are doing the damage, they scale. And then your talents, you've got insane talents. You've got Rune, which is one talent that makes your crits do 100% more damage.
You don't run yeah, you get an Immolate for it. You don't run Conflag with this build, although the Conflag build isn't that far behind. It's like, it's still a 790, but you don't run Conflag. You drop Conflag and run into your triple imp. Imps do a lot of damage. They're like really, really good damage.
Warlocks.
Yeah, I mean, this is if we're basing anything off, obviously nobody knows. This is all Sims. Grain of salt that shit. But usually the Sims, if you look in the past, aren't too far off. You might be 20, 30 DPS off going up or down, you know? So just, we have to wait and find out. But right now, that's where they're simming at right now.
Warlocks are having a good...
Go to talents.
A good time.
Go to your talents.
Yeah. What do I need to change?
No, you're good. That's good. That's good.
Warlocks are having...
probably for Alliance, they get the Alliance sim a little bit higher.
Yeah, get out of here, Alliance. This is the first time
we're Alliance
Warlock has ever had a good time, okay? In every single tier list we've ever done for every phase, Crix has always told me that Warlocks were going to be good, and I've said, you suck.
Eventually.
Shut up.
Our time is nigh.
And it's now, yeah, you finally done it.
Our time is nigh.
I've actually agreed. It's time.
If we're basing off of straight Sims, yeah, that's what we got. That's if we're everybody else is basing off Sim DPS, which we told you in the beginning. Grain of salt it, but yeah.
Now
that's where they're vibing, bro.
My melee brain still thinks in an optimal group you end up only bringing one Warlock, but I think one Warlock rotation, super easy to play, right? It's not like you're fucking the most skilled player in the world. So on average, your Warlocks can easily do way more than your Warriors, which are also, you'll notice, it's Class World of Warcraft will be in that tier. So on average, you'll see more Warlocks do better than you will Warriors. Warlocks will pump very easily. Of course, you need some debuffs. Sure.
Warlock's brain dead easy. You can't, you're not fucking that up. You can. You have like a fire, but it's so cheap. You use rank 1 Rain of Fire. It's gonna be so cheap to just put one down if you have to. The only downside is speedrun wise, like you don't stop to kill things unless you're like grouped up everything and then stop to kill it. You're just kind of running. Where Warriors can just zug the whole time. Rogues can zug the whole time. We can like auto run and cursor wreck everything while we're running type shit. Like that's all we're doing to the trash while we're running. And then, but if you make it to the boss and you're good to go, you're just slapping. You're gonna hard carry bosses. Yep. The Warriors can also hard carry the bosses with the same DPS, if not a little bit more, and on single target, and be able to melt the trash while they're running, you know?
Warriors are just the god class. There's like no questions about it. With or without bleeds, Warriors are always the god class. That's a fucking fact. Blizzard nerfed Warriors, brought them down multiple, like literally all of your attacks, like your rune attacks and your rune percentage buffs, like pretty much all got nerfed down. Warriors still being super, super good. So Warriors.
Zug, baby.
And for the sake of making this easy for people to see, we're saying Fury is just going to be the dual wield and Arms will be the two-hander, even if you play like an Arms dual wield spec or a Fury two-hander spec. We're just so that representation.
Get it. Warriors S tier. Zug. We knew that was gonna happen. They're like 850 plus, depending on who's simming it at this time. I feel like it changes all the time, but
Warriors are fucking cracked.
About 800 is about where they're at right now.
Is two-handed Warrior better than Destro?
Well, right now, like the there's people who getting up to 900 all there in there, but the people who are like the guys who like theory craft their shit, they're saying about 800, 8 to 820, 830. So we'll have to find out. It's one of those things. Dual wield is better, yeah.
The thing
and that's dual wield, by the way, that's dual wield orc, which is higher than dual wield human, by like 40 or something.
I love that now says, why is my spec in a wheelchair? Now you can make anything work. You're the best, one of the best players in the whole world forever. You could do literally, but why are you playing a Ret Paladin? You're probably going to be Preg. The interesting thing for all of this is there's gonna be a lot of RNG. If fights get down to a short level, like a Destro lock that gets 100% crit would do like ungodly DPS. But then again, you would look at like a Londo on fucking Baron Aquinas did like, I don't know, I think it was like 800 DPS, and the next highest person was like 400 at the time, something like that. It was like that crazy stratification because he had like 90% crit. It wasn't him playing better every time. I mean, he's a god, but like it was that. Rets do need runes. Rets just didn't get enough. It's just like it's really good that Rets now can have like Crusader Strike, Divine Storm, all of those things will now proc Wind Fury, but they just didn't get enough. And they were always going to need things from runes because as a class, Ret talents in World of Warcraft Classic don't fucking do shit for the most part. That's an overgeneralization, but they're kind of doo-doo, and we all know it.
Those Warlock Sims did not have a boomy in it. If you add a boomy to it, it's 870 DPS, and I didn't add PI either. If you add
fuck
PI
out
to
of here
it,
with
it's
the
even
boomy.
higher. Yeah, you know when I mean you might be lucky enough to have a boomy, but we're not gonna have. I'm not expecting a boomy in my Warlock run. I can expect PI, but we don't include PI in the Sims either because that would be just bananas. Do the math.
I wish they would bring Steel Twisting, but yeah,
those are with basic buffs.
Yeah. There's always going to be someone that gets some crazy number on like a simulation, and like you're going to have to like open up their sims and be like, what the fuck did you do? And then you're going to look at it and they're like, they fucking
like 3
did
PIs
the cheesiest shit ever. And I hate that, but people love to do that. We're not those people. Okay. So from there, that's all very solid. Feral Druid DPS. Holy cow, guys. The chattest of chat classes of all time. Now, like Ret Paladins, your normal attacks will proc Wind Fury, Wild Strikes. Wild Strikes also now actually you can proc Wild Strikes just by shifting into form, which was a huge gain utility-wise, not really DPS-wise for yourself, kind of, but like if I go into form, you can see I'm probably covering this actually. I instantly got Wind Fury. It's better for everybody. Instead of waiting 5 seconds, that's better for everybody. Feral Druid have an interesting stratification. Do you go with Fury or without? That's a good question. Like if you're a Feral Druid, are you gonna go power shifting, or are you gonna go leader of the pack for your group?
I'm saying it now. Feral S tier, 1300 DPS. Who saw the Sims? I don't make the rules. Take it up with them.
13. That was a guy using TVC Sims.
Okay, fine. 1200 DPS. We'll meet in the middle.
Everyone that's hearing this or watching this, someone was using TVC Sims and posted that. By the way, it was.
I don't play Feral. I'm not going to speak on the real Feral shit.
I will.
That's all you. But
so
I don't know shit about Feral.
Feral's got a lot of cool things this phase. You got like about a 10% nerf of damage to your main damage dealing ability, which is going to be Mangle, but now you got a buff of like 15 to 20% damage increase to Shred. Shred, which also now you get energy reduction with, although we get crit talents. There's a lot of like nuance that goes in it. You could be leader of the pack build, you could be Führer build, which is for power shifting, and you could be an Omen build. If you're not leader of the pack, you're leader of the pack. Yes, it gives you 3% crit, but it gives everyone in your group 3% crit, which for warriors by themselves on the sim, one leader of the pack, which it doesn't stack, on warrior sims right now is giving them like 38 DPS. So each one of those people in your group, all 4 of them are losing like almost 40 DPS. You're kind of griefing by doing this. Also, Heart of the Wild gives you 20% strength off of your total strength, not your actual base strength, which is actually pretty good. It's good to know. Feral Druid DPS.
I mean, I was under the assumption that their sim is an alpha 2, not working correctly.
Their sim is completely, their sim is like, it's, the sim's not ready at all.
A tier.
A tier. I think it's gonna be.
No, they bring Wild Strikes too. Can we just throw that in there with them? Like that's 100% at least at minimum A tier, right?
Yeah. What are you bringing in? A Feral Druid or enhanced? I think it's going to be around what Toto's saying. I think it's going to be around 750 DPS. I think you're going to have some RNG to do crazy. The new helmet that came out, the literal new helmet that came out yesterday, they changed this helmet yesterday. The tier helmet now gives you +3 weapon damage, which normally weapon damage doesn't do shit for you, but it does. This is for all of your little kitty paws. All you do, yeah, you're going to fuck shit up, okay? Somebody's going to clip that and be like, this guy's a weirdo, but whatever. You're gonna
It's also a leather working helmet. It's not tier, but yes.
Yeah. Sorry, did I say tier? Yeah, the leather working helmet is goated. And there's 2 weapon options that are amazing, and both of them have 3-minute procs that are actually amazing. And there's also some theories behind using Tiger's Fury or not using the rune. Cool. Feral Druid are actually looking like they're in a really good place. No Shockedin for the list. I talked about that. Shockedin, Preg, you're going to be like here, like you'll have a really, really good burst for Shockedin. Really, really good burst. It's actually viable on a super short fight. Really good burst. Yeah. But yes, Feral Druids are there. Are Feral Druids S tier? No. They just, I don't think they will be as good as Fury Warriors and Destros, to be seen. And of course, everything can change. We still need to see things. Shred is critting like crazy right now. It's hitting really hard. But it is like, this is a good estimation. Like, it's just, we're just saying it's not as good as Warrior and what Warlocks are looking like.
I think Feral's gonna pump harder than people think for some reason. I've learned not to sleep on the cats, dog.
Also, Feral Druids are quintessential of like figuring out the craziest way to do a little bit more damage. Feral Druids
they can slap.
Have the craziest theory crafters out of any class. They'll try the craziest things.
And Wild Strikes is worth like a million bajillion DPS.
Yeah, if we're looking at raw damage, we're putting you here. Feral Druids are you're literally like super sought after. Feral Druids are necessary. Shout out to Nord, I love you, dog.
I feel like that's like if you want to play, I get asked a lot, what class should I play? That's like people want. That's 100% Feral. I think Feral's like the most sought after DPS class in the game. It feels like. Yeah. You can just open up looking for group bulletin board and you'll see everybody looking for a tank or a Feral like, every single time.
Yep, always. I would rather recruit a Feral to my group than recruit a Fury Warrior who should do more damage.
Oh, 100%.
But let's be real. If you're fucking pugging a Fury Warrior, that guy is doing this much damage.
And it pumps. Like I'm nowhere near a Feral god, but even my Feral DPS without gear, I'm still slapping. So like it's like you can play it easily. Where Warrior gets fucked up, that you can. I don't know how you fuck up playing a Warlock or a Mage, but people do it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, you could make an argument that, like, if I was doing a generalization and like saying like, as an S tier, I would say Feral Druid should be in an S tier, but it's not in the same tier as Fury. So like we were saying, we've done this before where it's like these are S tier and some are God tier, and we're making that stratification. That's it. And yes, for anyone that missed it, enhanced sims are way higher than they were. They are now adjusted. The sims should be fixed and ready. Storm Strike went down from a 20-second CD to 6 seconds. Fucking Wind Fury proc ICD got changed. A lot of things went really well for enhance. Okay. Hunters. Oh, we finally at Hunters?
Hunters all C tier. Get him out of the game.
Hunters all C tier confirmed.
Sorry, boys.
All right, there we are. All right, there we are. Every Hunter has to reroll. Congratulations. Looks like we don't know if Fire or Arcane will be better. Fire will be better. Arcane is like there, but like not the same. There's prot warriors that are doing damage that's stupid, and there's prot tanks that are doing damage that's stupid.
Yeah, and shaman tanks are doing some crazy DPS right now too on sims, like 700 type shit. Same with meta locks and prot warriors.
Yeah,
like all the tanks. I haven't seen the feral tanks, so I don't know about feral tanks, but all the tanks are doing like insane amount of DPS.
Yeah. Okay. Let me talk about hunters realistically. There's actually this crazy thing. Fuck, I don't want to say it out loud. We're just, for the sake of today, we're saying survival is melee hunter. even though survival hunters also, if you're the only hunter in the raid, have to play a BM hunter spec. So for the sake of it, survival is melee hunter. Okay.
I don't know shit about hunters. Take it away. A tier melee DPS. Is there sims for hunter right now?
There's some, but
is this your feelies? Is this feels craft you're hitting us with?
There's people that are getting stupid high sims, and that's, I'm like, you're coping. There's melee sims above 800. I know. I know they're coping, by the way. Okay. This is actually all right. Okay, here, hunter, here, BM, hunter, here, marksman, hunter. I actually am not 100% sure. I would put it here. Sure. Is that coping? It might be. I don't know. I actually don't know 100%. Carve for trash, crazy, and uncapped cleave, that's getting nerfed. That's for sure getting nerfed. Survival, I am saying for both of the melee specs, and I can show you guys the melee hunter specs really fast. So I have Sarthe, melee hunter. Okay, talents. Okay, so this is the melee hunter spec if you're running aspect of the lion and stuff. This is, you just go down into survival to get 20% chance to crit on your mongoose bite and raptor strike, and then you just go down and your pet does all your damage. Then there's the other spec. Do I have it? Okay, here's another spec. If you have another hunter in your group that's running aspect or heart of the lion, then you can do lone wolf now with your 30% damage buff to that, and you can go kind of deep survival. Either way, hunters get a lot this phase, which is actually really intriguing. Melee specialists. So Raptor Strike has a 3-second CD. It is no longer on a like on your melee weapon swings. Mongoose Bite has no cooldown, and Raptor Strike has a chance to reset its cooldown, and dual wield specialization, you hit with both of your weapons, right? This is it's actually looking pretty solid. So it's actually looking pretty strong, solid. Yeah, I mean,
someone's saying Hunter Discord saying melee hunters are around 800.
I know Hunter Discord is saying melee hunters are at 800.
And
I
some
think
people
it's
saying 500. I don't know.
I know they're coping. It's cope. It's everyone else bring all of the buffs for me and True Shot Aura so that I can pump damage. So this is an estimation of the DPS of the classes with the current changes that are in the game right now. Enhance got massive buffs yesterday. Massive buffs. I'm very skeptical, specifically for myself, about rogues and melee hunters. That's my personal biggest skepticism.
Warlocks seem too good to be true, so I'm skeptical.
And yeah, dude, since when are warlocks actually going to be good?
I'm not, and I am at the same time. I'm not because I know how my class works, and I know my talents, and they are big, but like it's still crazy to see it. So we'll find out. Tuned
in late, which I'm sure a lot of you did. Every tier list before the phase is out, it's not going to be 100% accurate. One, sometimes you're going off of simulation numbers. You're taking that into account. Those aren't perfect. We don't know 100% what the exact runes are going to be perfectly. Okay, we know that. Class changes happened yesterday. We know that. Everything is it's all a meme. This is a generalization.
Everything's subject to change. Everything's going to change.
Plus, dude, I'm sure we're going to see some nerfs and buffs next week.
I bet you there's more runes coming out tomorrow that weren't even data mined, or some that were data mined that aren't in the game. Like, nobody knows anything. This is just for views. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we're going to get some big changes.